folks, welcome back. For those watching me for the very first time, my name is Adiola and I live here in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico, where I share my experiences as a single woman living here in Merida, Mexico. Now, if you've been watching me for a while but you haven't subscribed yet, please do click on that subscribe button to be a part of the community. And then if there's anything that I mentioned in this video that you feel like someone in your network might find useful, please do click on that share button to share with them. And then if you have any comments for me, you can leave it in the comment section below or send me a DM on my Instagram page at African Expat. Now, today's video will be about the cuisine or the gastronomy scene when you move abroad. Now, because I live here in Merida, Mexico, I'm only gonna be focusing on the local food here. So now, Yucatecan food isn't as popular as food from other parts of Mexico, central Mexico and north of Mexico, and that is because Yucatan is only starting to open its doors to the outside world. So they were closed off from the rest of Mexico for a very long time. Hence why Yucatecan food isn't as popular as the traditional Mexican food, such as the burritos and the tacos and the sopes and the tacos de canastas, nachos, so on and so forth. So after 5 years of living, well, almost 5 years of living here in the state of Yucatan, I still haven't gotten used to the food because I feel like it's the same. At least to me, it looks the same. What is served at the restaurant, they are all the same. They all look like tacos, so mostly panuchos, sabotes. They have some tortas, so sandwiches, and some sopa de lima, what have you, right? But I mean, they do taste okay depending on where you go, but it's just very different from what I'm used to. So now I want to read a post that was posted on the Facebook page a while back, and I'm gonna be highlighting some of the comments that I can relate to. So this person asked in the Facebook page, they said that, would you stay in a country if you didn't like the food? Culture and cost of living are good, you just don't like the food. So meaning that you move to a country, everything checks out. The culture is good, the people good, the weather good, everything is good, but the only issue you have is the food. So would you continue to live in that country, or would you move to the next country that has a better cuisine? So like I said, I'm only going to be highlighting some of the comments that really got my attention. Some of the comments here were actually quite condescending. I'll say negative, so I'm not even gonna read those questions. I'm not even gonna read those comments. So this comment, I completely respect this comment. So it says that I would never badmouth local or traditional food, whether I love it or not. I respect where it comes from, but I've got to be honest, it's the international food scene in Merida that really disappoints me. Asian, Italian, American, it just doesn't hit. And for a city this size, the lack of variety is wild. I've eaten way better in smaller cities. I've tried to love it here, but Merida just isn't that girl when it comes to food. So, yeah, I will never badmouth someone else's cuisine because they have been eating that same dish or dishes for many generations. So it tastes good to them, it looks good to them, it smells good to them. Who am I to criticize that? And as an African myself, like, I've seen people leave negative and nasty comments on foods that I think looks good and that I think tastes delicious. So I find that to be very disrespectful of someone's culture, because to me, for example, let's say I'm eating, amala with ewedu and gbegiri. Someone can look at that and think it's disgusting. And I'm going to attach a picture of amala with ewedu and gbegiri. To me, it looks good. When I eat it, oh, it tastes really good. It's like unbelievably good. So to me, that looks good, it tastes good, it smells good. I can have that every single day of the week. But to someone else that is from a different culture, they might look at it and think it looks nasty, it looks disgusting, and they will never have that. So I will never badmouth someone else's cuisine because it has history to it. Okay, so, and then the next question, the next comment, this person said, the food will never drive me away. I can cook my own if necessary. In my estimation, it's better than all the fried food you get in ATL, Atlanta. I lived in ATL for 5 years, and the biggest disappointment was that your choice of food was either fried, or fried. So again, going back to my comment on, pretty much your perspective. So this person lived in a very big city in the US, and they felt like the cuisine there was unhealthy, right? But to them, the food here will never drive them away because, hey, you can always cook. And that's pretty much what I do. Almost 95% of what I eat comes out of my kitchen. I cook for myself because there's a particular way that I want my food to look like and to taste like. And as a Nigerian living here in Merida, obviously it's almost impossible to find someone that can cook what I like to eat. So I have to cook it myself because I can't just go to a restaurant and order something that I would normally eat. Now, when I lived in Colombia, though, I didn't have an issue with the food because it looks almost similar to what I would eat on a regular day. So it'll be rice and beans with fried plantain, the meat or chicken, and then a little bit of salad, right? So on a normal day, that's what I would eat anyway. So Colombian food to me was like normal food. And then they had cassava, potato, so it's like normal food that I would usually eat, not the tortillas and like the fillet fish or whatever, and then the one scoop of rice. That's one thing that annoys me. You go out to eat at some restaurant, they serve you one scoop, like ice cream scoop of rice, and the rice is always cold, like it came out of the fridge. One scoop, some salad, a lot of tortillas because that's their main dish, and then you can have the chicken or whatever, or the beef, and then it comes with a bean sauce. Not like regular beans, like bean grain. No, it's like bean sauce. Like they blended the beans in a blender, and now it's like a sauce or a soup even. I'm not used to that. I haven't gotten used to it, and I don't think I would ever get used to it. But hey, to Mexicans, that looks delicious. It's like they can have that 3 days. They can have that 3 times in a day, 7 days in a week, and it nourishes their body and it keeps them healthy. But to me, that is just not something that I'm used to. This next comment says that if you are a foodie, Mexico City is a spot for you. Yeah. And I found it to be actually less expensive to eat out too. I don't care for eating out, and for my health journey, eating more of a pre-colonial indigenous diet has really transformed my health, which is easy to do here in the Yucatan. So this person's comment is quite neutral. Okay, so this other comment, I actually like this comment, and it says that I've been here 2 years, and what I found is that I have some great date night kinds of spots. But what I miss is having a large array of casual day-to-day spots. Luckily, I moved away from Centro, and I found that was all I needed to unlock a bunch of new spots. My favorite taco joint is half a block from my house, affordable for locals and very delicious. That, and I've started cooking a lot lately. Takes a while to strike a balance, but I think I found my sweet spot. And I stayed away from many of the big, overpriced, overrated restaurants downtown. The food just isn't for me, especially not when I'm paying so much for it. Your perspective or your experiences abroad really depends on what you make out of it. Living in Central Merida, you're gonna have a different reality from someone who lives outside of Centro, from someone who lives in Cauquel, someone who lives in Francisco Montejo, someone who lives in Chupona, someone who lives in Cholu, someone who lives in Montes de Aime, someone who lives in Concal, right? Central Merida, I find that there aren't a lot of local spots for the locals to eat. Now, the locals do know where to go to though, and it's usually close to the market. Now, for a regular person, you might feel like that's unhygienic because it doesn't look clean, so you might not feel comfortable eating there. So you might be forced to go and eat at the restaurants that are catered to tourists. Obviously, those restaurants will be very expensive, and sometimes what you get doesn't really equate to what you're paying for. The presentation, the quantity, the taste, So you live in the Central Merida, you're gonna get a different perspective from someone who lives outside of it, right? Francisco Montejo has a lot of Mexicans who moved to Merida from the north and central of Mexico. So they have many options of food, many options. And of course, the locals, they know where to go to. So someone who moved from Morelia or Michoacan, they know where to go to for really good food here in Merida. So sometimes it takes research, sometimes it takes asking around to find where to go. And obviously, when you live in a more local neighborhood, the prices and the option that you get will be very different from someone who lives in a very touristy and overpriced area. Right, so I really like that comment. So, and one thing is that Merida actually has a lot of options when it comes to food. Mexicans love to eat out, and like I said, there are a lot of Mexican transplants moving down to Merida every single day. And when those people come down here, they open businesses for people like them as well. Obviously, if you live in Central, you might not be able to find those restaurants. You're gonna have to leave the cocoon of Central Merida to find, like, for example, an Indian restaurant, Korean restaurant, Caribbean restaurant. It's not common. And someone just opened like a African cooking restaurant. So sometimes you might have to ask around for, hey, where can I get food from this country, or where can I get this kind of food? And sometimes you might need to experiment or just cook your own food at home. So now, this comments, I also like this comment because they said that for sure most of my family can cook, so as long as they have the essentials, meat and certain vegetables, it wouldn't be a deal breaker. Plus, a fun part of experiencing different places for me is trying out all the local foods wherever I am. Personally, for the lower cost of living and cultural experiences, cooking more frequently, hiring a chef, and or getting used to different foods is a fair trade-off to me. There are quite a bit of places here in Merida where I found great food, and I've noticed that here the food is definitely fresher and healthier than many in the States. I have not had to deal with any heartburn issues since being here, which is a wild and pleasant surprise. I plan to make a guide of the places I've been here so far sometime soon, but in the meantime, here are some photos from some of my favorite places. So this person has tried many restaurants and they found really good places. So that goes back to what I said previously about you just going out, experimenting and asking around, hey, what do you like to eat? Hey, what do you like to eat? Or just, pick a random restaurant that shows up on maps or that's in your neighborhood. Go try them out and just, see what they have to offer. Okay, and to wrap up the comment section on this post, I'll wrap it up with this last comment here. So it says that Merida has some really good restaurants. You just have to find the ones in your budget and taste. Yeah, true. Many of the traditional restaurants in Centro are not very tasty, but it is not enough to drive me away from Merida. Or, as the question suggests, all of Mexico. There's also the option to cook at home. And I also want to add, there's an option to also hire a cook or someone who will come to your house 2, 3, 4 times in a week to cook for you, right? There's that option. There are so many people looking for jobs here. Like they went to cooking school, or they're just very good at cooking. It's their passion, and you can hire them to come to your house to cook for you, and they can cook, whatever you want them to cook, or you can show them how you want them to cook it. So personally, for me, like I said, I cook most of my meals at home because obviously, where am I going to find like rice and beans and plantain or potatoes? Pretty much food that I enjoy eating. I can't find them here in Merida, so I have to cook them myself. And also because for me, I don't see myself paying 200-300 pesos to eat a meal that I'm not happy with. I would rather take that money, go to the market, buy, large amount of groceries, fruits, vegetables, meat, and such, and come and cook, and it'll last me like a week or two because I live alone and I don't eat much, right? So for me, that's pretty much the reasons why I don't eat out. Just the budget doesn't make sense for me, and also the food when it comes out, most times I've just never been impressed, really. It's not like it's bad, but just, I'm used to cooking and eating my own meals. For as long as I've been alive, me going out to eat is just not in my culture. It's not what I'm used to. So cooking at home, eating at home, you can never beat that. Although right now, what I am planning on doing is contracting someone to come and do my cooking, because I've gotten to a point whereby cooking is like such a chore. But the thing is, I will need to find someone that I can train on how I would like my foods to be cooked, right? So that's just the only thing, finding someone that I can train on. Okay, here is how I like my rice to be cooked, here's how I like my sauces to be cooked, here's how I like my chicken to be cooked. And like, also I'm open to you experimenting and showing me what you can cook and making sure that they cook it in a healthy way, because here in the state of Yucatan, obesity is a big issue. Obesity is a big issue. So if I'm gonna hire someone to cook my food, I have to make sure that it's cooked in a healthy way, right? So that is one thing for me. So, but I want to know about your thoughts, your opinion though. What do you think? Like, would you leave a country because the food isn't just your vibe, or would you find other alternatives? Merida is growing rapidly, and it's kind of concerning to me. It's also exciting. It depends on how you see it, because yeah, like there are so many options here. Even recently somebody messaged me, she's Nigerian, and she's opened her own food business, meaning that if I want to order like a forido or a goosey soup or something like that, she can cook it and then I can have it delivered to my house. Before, that wasn't an option, right? So when you have people moving into a particular city, they bring their cultures with them. That's why the US and places like Canada has so many options. Like, let me not say Canada as a country, because there are many parts of Canada that aren't multicultural, but if you live in places like Quebec City, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, even Edmonton is growing now. So if you're from the Philippines, you can find Filipino restaurants. If you're from Ghana, you can find Ghanaian restaurants. If you're from Malaysia, you can find Malaysian restaurants. And these restaurants will be owned by people from those countries, meaning that the food will be authentic. The issue here in Merida is that sometimes you can have a restaurant, like an Indian restaurant or whatever, but the people cooking are not even from those countries. The owner might be Indian, but the people cooking are not. So it's not authentic. And also sometimes I understand that they have to import the food in, and that definitely will drive up the cost. And also they might not be able to get all the ingredients that they need. So they would have to freestyle, or sometimes they might need to make the food to be palatable to the local audience, right? So that they can enjoy the food without it being too spicy, for example, right? So that's just one issue that I have. But also, because the thing is, most times that I've gone out to Merida, 95% of the time I haven't been super excited about the food. I just buy it, eat it, and knowing fully well that I'll go home and I can actually eat something that makes sense. So let me know in the comment section what has been your experience living abroad or even traveling abroad when it comes to the food, and would you base the gastronomy of that country, would that be one of your criteria to move to that country or to go live in that city? All right, let me know in the comment section below. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do click on the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.